Jamal Rivers, a 32-year-old artist, stood out not just for his towering height of 6 feet 2 inches, but for the quiet confidence he carried. His deep brown skin was often speckled with colorful paint marks, a badge of his passion rather than a mess. His hair, styled in tight coils, framed his angular face, and his dark eyes held a spark of creativity that seemed to dance with every idea that crossed his mind. Jamal dressed casually, usually in paint-stained jeans and soft cotton t-shirts that bore the marks of his latest projects. Yet, beyond the outward artist charm, he was a man deeply connected to emotions and the stories behind every brushstroke. Jamal's personality was a blend of reserved introspection and bursts of expressive energy when talking about art. Friends described him as humble yet intensely passionate about his work. He wasn't one to boast, even when his murals garnered praise in local circles. To him, art wasn't just about aesthetics. It was a voice for the voiceless, a mirror reflecting society's truths. Despite his successes, an underlying insecurity shadowed him. Was his work making a real difference? Could a painting change minds or inspire community? These questions lingered, gnawing at his confidence. But each day, he woke with the resolve to paint, to create, and a hope that his colors could indeed spark change. Mornings for Jamal began before sunrise. His small, sunlit apartment overlooked the bustling streets of Oak Ridge, a neighborhood known for its cultural diversity and rich history. The walls of his living room were adorned with unfinished canvases, paint tubes scattered like vibrant confetti across his wooden floor. Jamal's first ritual was brewing a strong cup of black coffee, its bitter aroma filling the air as he scrolled through his sketchbook, flipping past rough drafts and sudden bursts of inspiration captured in pencil. After a quick breakfast, usually toast with avocado and scrambled eggs, he slipped into his worn sneakers, grabbed his leather satchel packed with paints, brushes, and a portable speaker, and headed out. His daily commute to his outdoor mural site took him through streets lined with mom-and-pop shops and colorful graffiti walls that told their own stories. Locals greeted him with nods and smiles, recognizing the artist who was slowly transforming a once-ignored corner of the neighborhood. By mid-morning, Jamal would set up his ladder, connect his speaker to play soft jazz or neo-soul tunes, and lose himself in his work. Hours would blur as brush met brick, colors blooming under the warmth of the sun. Lunch was often whatever he could grab quickly, a sandwich from the deli across the street or leftovers from home. As the day stretched on, his clothes would accumulate splashes of red, blue, and gold, each mark a testament to his evolving masterpiece. Evenings were reserved for quiet reflection, sometimes spent on his couch sketching new ideas or video chatting with his younger sister, Maya, who never failed to remind him of the impact his art had on the community. Yet, deep down, he yearned for a moment that would validate his efforts beyond kind words. Oak Ridge was a neighborhood caught between its storied past and the push of modern gentrification. Cobblestone sidewalks bore the weight of generations, and aging brick buildings stood adorned with murals that depicted both hardship and hope. Jamal's latest project was on the side of an old community center, a structure weathered by time but rich in memories. The building's faded red bricks provided a textured canvas, their imperfections adding depth to the mural's unfolding narrative. The mural, in vibrant hues, depicted a sprawling tree with roots entangled in scenes of the community's past, black and white portraits of elders, images of children playing, and figures protesting for justice, all culminating in colorful branches reaching toward a hopeful future. Across the street stood Marla's Diner, a staple for locals seeking hearty meals and warm conversations. The soft hum of conversations, clinking cutlery, and the occasional burst of laughter wafted through the air. Next to the diner was a modest bookstore run by Mr. Bennett, an elderly man who often brought Jamal cold lemonade during sweltering afternoons. The streets bustled with life. Kids rode bikes, street vendors peddled roasted peanuts, and neighbors exchanged greetings while walking their dogs. Despite the community's vibrancy, signs of change loomed. Newer buildings with sleek glass facades were sprouting, coffee shops with minimalist decor replacing long-standing businesses. Posters for luxury apartments were plastered on lampposts, their bold fonts promising modern living in historic Oak Ridge. Jamal noticed these shifts with a mixture of sadness and resolve. His mural was more than art. It was a statement, a reminder of the neighborhood's soul amid the creeping tides of change. As the sun dipped lower, casting amber hues across the mural, it seemed to glow with life. Passers-by often paused, some snapping photos, others offering words of encouragement. Children, fascinated by the colors, would ask him about the figures he painted, their curiosity fueling his determination. Yet, for all the appreciation, Jamal couldn't shake the feeling that something was missing, that his work, though beautiful, hadn't yet created the impact he dreamed of. As Jamal stepped back to survey his progress one evening, a cool breeze cutting through the lingering warmth, he noticed a man across the street scowling at the mural. Dressed in a sharp business suit, the man shook his head and muttered something Jamal couldn't hear. Moments later, he snapped a photo of the painting and walked away, tapping furiously on his phone. A knot twisted in Jamal's stomach. He had heard rumors, developers eyeing the community center for demolition, plans to replace it with a parking structure. His mural, a tribute to the neighborhood's history, might soon be painted over or lost entirely. Later that night, scrolling through social media, Jamal stumbled upon a post. Why waste time on graffiti when we need progress? This mural doesn't represent Oak Ridge's future. It's stuck in the past. The words stung more than he expected. Was preserving the past holding the community back? Or was progress being used as a guise to erase identity? Jamal turned off his phone, a heavy sigh escaping him. He wanted to believe his work mattered, but doubt crept in. Was his art enough to make people care? Uncertainty lingered as he gazed at the ceiling, questions swirling with no clear answers in sight. 2 days after the unsettling social media post, Jamal arrived at the mural site early, determined to focus on his work despite the lingering negativity. His portable speaker hummed soft jazz as he unpacked his brushes, but the calm was shattered when a sleek black SUV pulled up across the street. Out stepped the same man from earlier, the one who had scowled at the mural. He was accompanied by 2 sharply dressed individuals holding clipboards and tablets. Their presence immediately drew the attention of passers-by. Jamal paused, paintbrush in hand, as the man crossed the street with purpose. "You're the artist, right?" the man asked, his tone curt. Jamal nodded cautiously. "I'm Richard Caldwell, Senior Project Manager for Oak Ridge Development Group," the man said, extending a hand. Jamal shook it, noting the firm grip. "We're in talks to revitalize this area, and frankly, this mural, while colorful, doesn't align with our vision for modernization." Jamal felt his chest tighten. "This mural represents the community's history," he said, struggling to keep his voice even. Richard sighed. "Look, I understand nostalgia, but progress is inevitable. We've submitted a proposal to repurpose this building. Your artwork? It'll be painted over within a month tops." Jamal's mind raced. "You can't just erase what this place means to people." Richard shrugged. "Business is business." With that, he turned on his heel, motioning for his team to follow. News spread quickly. Within hours, a notice was plastered on the community center's door. Proposed demolition. Public hearing in 2 weeks. Jamal stood before it, heart sinking. His tribute to Oak Ridge's soul was now on borrowed time. Jamal sat on the curb, elbows resting on his knees, eyes fixed on the mural he had poured his heart into. Anger bubbled beneath the surface, mixing with a crushing sense of helplessness. He pulled out his phone, scrolling through social media where the news was already circulating. Opinions were split. Some celebrated the redevelopment, citing new jobs and safer streets. Others rallied behind preserving the neighborhood's character, but their voices seemed quieter, drowned out by corporate promises. His phone buzzed, a message from Maya. "Heard about the demolition? You okay? Don't let them bulldoze your spirit, Jay." Jamal smiled faintly, but the weight in his chest remained. How could a painting stand against corporate money and polished presentations? Doubts clawed at him. Maybe Richard was right. Maybe murals couldn't stop bulldozers. Still, As he glanced back at the vibrant colors against the aging brick, a spark of defiance ignited. This isn't just about me, he thought. It's about everyone who sees themselves in this art. Yet fear lingered. What if fighting back led nowhere? What if he became just another voice lost in the noise? He exhaled slowly, wrestling with the uncertainty. Giving up was tempting, but the faces in his mural seemed to urge him otherwise. The following days felt like walking through fog. Jamal's routine, once a comforting rhythm, was disrupted by constant tension. Painting, once an escape, now carried the weight of a looming deadline. His brushstrokes, once fluid and joyful, grew tense. Mornings were consumed with community meetings, evenings spent drafting petitions and making phone calls to local activists. Sleep became elusive, replaced by late-night brainstorming sessions and restless pacing. Even the mural's site changed. Curious onlookers turned into worried neighbors asking, "What can we do?" Support was there, but so was an undercurrent of resignation. "They've got money and lawyers," one man said. "Hard to fight that." Jamal nodded, understanding the sentiment, but unwilling to let apathy take hold. Visits to the mural were now interrupted by reporters seeking sound bites and developers inspecting the building with cold efficiency. Richard Caldwell's words echoed in his mind. Business is business, but Jamal couldn't shake the feeling that people should come before profits. His daily painting sessions dwindled, replaced by calls with city council members and hurried discussions with local artists. Coffee cups piled up in his apartment. Sketches lay abandoned. Even Maya noticed the toll. "You're burning out," she warned over a video call. But Jamal shook his head. "If I stop now, what was the point of starting?" The pressure mounted, yet amid the chaos, one thing was clear. He couldn't let the mural, or what it represented, be erased without a fight. Over the next week, the battle to save the mural intensified. Jamal, once known for his quiet demeanor, found himself thrust into the spotlight. Local news stations covered the unfolding conflict, painting him as the face of resistance against corporate overreach. Interviews became part of his daily routine. Though he never sought fame, he just wanted to preserve the soul of his community. Flyers reading, "Save our mural," "Save Oak Ridge," dotted storefronts and telephone poles. Jamal, alongside a coalition of local activists, organized a peaceful protest outside the community center. Dozens of people gathered, families, artists, and elders who remembered Oak Ridge's history firsthand. Children held signs reading, "This is our home," while elders recounted stories of block parties and civil rights marches held right outside the center's doors. Despite the growing support, opposition was fierce. Richard Caldwell's development group launched a counter-campaign, flooding social media with glossy ads promoting progress and economic revitalization. Posters with slogans like, "Out with the old, in with the new," appeared overnight, sparking heated debates in town meetings and online forums. Tensions reached a boiling point when an anonymous vandal spray-painted "Sellout" across the mural's lower section. Jamal's heart broke at the sight. He spent hours scrubbing the hateful words away, paint-streaked hands trembling with frustration. A crucial city council meeting loomed, set to decide the fate of the community center. Jamal prepared to speak, rehearsing arguments in front of his bathroom mirror late into the night. Exhaustion weighed on him, but resolve burned brighter. Yet beneath the determination, doubt whispered, what if they've already made up their minds? Jamal's journey was buoyed by a tapestry of community members rallying behind him. Maya, his ever-supportive sister, became his backbone. Though she lived states away, her virtual presence was constant, crafting press releases, managing social media campaigns, and offering words of encouragement during late-night calls. "You're not alone in this," she reminded him. "You've got a whole community standing with you." Among his most vocal supporters was Mrs. Henderson, a retired schoolteacher who had lived in Oak Ridge for over 50 years. "This mural isn't just paint on a wall," she declared at a protest. "It's our stories, our struggles, our victories." Her passionate speeches galvanized many, lending emotional weight to the cause. Then there was Luis, a fellow artist and longtime friend. Luis specialized in graffiti art, and had initially been skeptical. "Man, you really think they'll listen?" he asked. But seeing the groundswell of support, Luis threw himself into the fight, helping organize mural tours and youth workshops to educate kids about the artwork's significance. Even local business owners like Marla, owner of the diner across the street, pitched in. She hosted fundraiser breakfasts, her diner walls now adorned with Save Our Mural posters. "This place is the heart of Oak Ridge," Marla said, flipping pancakes while discussing strategy with volunteers. Yet not everyone was on board. Some residents, tempted by promises of job opportunities and upgraded housing, sided with the developers. "We can't cling to the past forever," argued Darren, a young father hoping for safer streets and better schools. The division fractured the community, friendships strained under opposing visions of progress. As the council meeting approached, Jamal's emotions twisted into a storm of anxiety and self-doubt. Each night, sleep eluded him. Lying in bed, he stared at the ceiling, mind spinning with what-ifs. What if I fail? What if all this effort is for nothing? The weight of responsibility pressed heavy on his chest. People were counting on him, believing in him, and that trust felt both empowering and suffocating. He found solace in returning to the mural after dark, the empty streets offering a temporary cocoon from the mounting pressure. Standing before the sprawling artwork, he traced the painted faces with his gaze, the elderly woman smiling with her grandchild, the protesters holding signs for justice, the vibrant branches symbolizing hope. What if this disappears? The thought was unbearable. His art wasn't just a personal expression. It was a reflection of countless lives intertwined with Oak Ridge's fabric. Losing it felt like erasing a chapter of their collective story. One evening, overwhelmed, Jamal broke down. Tears blurred his vision as he sank to the ground, back against the wall he'd poured months into creating. Why is this so hard? He thought. He questioned his motives. Was it pride fueling this fight? Or was it genuinely about the community? Deep down, he knew it was both. His identity was stitched into this neighborhood, each brushstroke a piece of his soul. Surrendering felt like betraying himself and everyone who saw themselves in the mural's colors. He confided in Maya during a midnight call, voice cracking. "What if I'm just setting myself up for disappointment?" "You're doing this because it matters," she replied gently. "Not everything that matters is easy. But if you walk away now, will you ever forgive yourself?" Her words lingered long after the call ended. Jamal wiped his face, taking a deep breath. Fear clawed at him, but so did hope. He realized that courage wasn't the absence of fear. It was acting despite it. His emotions churned with turmoil, but amid the chaos, a flicker of clarity emerged. Win or lose, he had to see this through. The day before the city council meeting, Jamal received an unexpected message. "We've secured a speaking slot for you. You'll be the final voice before the vote." The weight of that responsibility hit hard. His words could be the last chance to sway the decision. But could a speech outweigh corporate promises and economic incentives? That evening, he revisited the mural for what could be the final time before its fate was sealed. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting the artwork in a golden glow, Jamal noticed something new. Candles lined the sidewalk, dozens of them, placed by supporters in a silent vigil. Notes were taped along the base of the wall. "Thank you for telling our story. This mural gave me hope. Oak Ridge is more than buildings." Emotion welled up, tightening his throat. The community's voices, their hopes and fears, surrounded him. This isn't just about paint on a wall, he thought. It's about the people who believe in what it represents. Heart-pounding, Jamal stood tall. Tomorrow would bring a fight, perhaps the biggest of his life. But standing there, bathed in candlelight and surrounded by silent messages of solidarity, he felt something powerful. Not certainty, not victory, but purpose. And that, he realized, was enough to face whatever came next. The day of the city council meeting dawned gray and overcast, the clouds mirroring the tension swirling in Jamal's chest. Dressed in his best button-down shirt, creased from being worn at countless protests, he rehearsed his speech under his breath while pacing outside the town hall. Maya's encouraging text flashed on his phone. "You got this. Speak from the heart." He pocketed it with a deep inhale. One chance, he reminded himself. Make it count. The council chambers were packed to capacity, with lines stretching down the street. Supporters wore shirts emblazoned with Save Our Mural, while developers handed out glossy pamphlets promoting Oak Ridge's future. Inside, the room buzzed with murmurs until the gavel struck, silencing the crowd. Speakers took turns at the podium, residents pleading to preserve the mural, business owners citing economic opportunities. Richard Caldwell spoke confidently, outlining Oak Ridge Development Group's promises of new jobs and modern housing. Progress sometimes means letting go of the past, he concluded, his gaze flicking toward Jamal. Finally, Jamal's name was called. Heart pounding, he approached the microphone. Faces stared back, hopeful, skeptical, indifferent. His prepared speech blurred in his mind, words tangling with nerves. He glanced at the council members, their expressions unreadable. Then, at the mural's supporters lining the back, candles from the vigil now flickering in his memory. Dropping his notes, he spoke from his gut. This isn't just about paint on a wall. It's about people, about stories that built this neighborhood. Erasing this mural erases us. His voice wavered but grew stronger. We're not against progress, but progress that bulldozes identity isn't progress. It's erasure. Applause erupted from the crowd. Jamal stepped back, adrenaline surging. The council president nodded. Thank you, Mr. Harris. We'll deliberate and announce our decision shortly. As the council members filed into a private chamber, the room buzzed with tension. Jamal returned to his seat, legs weak. Maya called. You crushed it, she exclaimed through the speaker. But Jamal's nerves refused to settle. What if it's not enough? Minutes stretched into an hour. Then, unexpectedly, a commotion rippled through the crowd as a camera crew burst in. Behind them stood none other than Malik Thompson, a world-renowned artist and Oak Ridge native who had quietly left the neighborhood years ago. Gasps echoed as Malik approached Jamal. I saw the coverage, Malik said, shaking his hand. Your mural, it's powerful. It reminded me of where I came from. Malik turned to the council upon their return. I'd like to speak, he requested. The council, caught off guard, hesitated before granting him a brief moment. Stepping to the podium, Malik's deep voice resonated. Art isn't just decoration, it's history, culture. I left Oak Ridge searching for success, but this mural, it brought me home. His gaze swept the room. Erase it, and you erase the roots that nurtured people like me. Whispers turned into nods. Malik added, if redevelopment proceeds, I'm prepared to invest in preserving the mural as part of the revitalization plan. The proposal stunned everyone, including Jamal. Richard Caldwell's confident facade faltered. Malik's influence and offer changed the stakes entirely. Council members huddled briefly before the president announced, in light of new information and community sentiment, we will postpone the demolition decision pending revisions to the development plan. Cheers erupted. Jamal's knees nearly buckled in relief. He turned to Malik, overwhelmed. I didn't expect. Malik grinned. Sometimes, it takes one voice to start a chorus. You sang loud enough for others to hear. The weight that had pressed on Jamal for weeks lifted, replaced by a tidal wave of emotions. Relief, disbelief, gratitude. Tears pricked his eyes as supporters surrounded him, clapping his back, shaking his hand. Mrs. Henderson embraced him, whispering, You gave us hope, baby. Luis grinned. Man, you pulled off a miracle. Outside the hall, a spontaneous celebration erupted. Marla handed out coffee and pastries from her diner. Kids danced with homemade signs, and strangers hugged like old friends. The community, fractured by uncertainty, reunited in shared victory. Jamal stood amid the crowd, taking it all in. The laughter, the cheers, the collective sigh of relief. Malik approached, slipping an arm around his shoulders. You didn't just save a wall, he said. You reminded people where they come from. Jamal chuckled through teary eyes. I just didn't want us to be forgotten. You made sure of that, Malik replied. Later, returning to the mural under the night sky, Jamal traced the painted faces once more. Candle remnants from the vigil glimmered on the sidewalk. He knelt, overwhelmed by the journey, the doubt, the fight, the unexpected allies. His fingers brushed a new note taped to the wall. You made us proud. Tears spilled freely. This was worth it all. His phone buzzed again, Maya's text. See? Told you. He laughed, voice echoing down the quiet street. For the first time in weeks, the tension in his chest eased. Victory wasn't just in saving the mural. It was in witnessing a community rise together, voices harmonizing in defiance of erasure. And as Jamal gazed at the vibrant colors under the stars, he knew one truth above all. Art lives as long as people believe in its story. In the days following the council's decision, Oak Ridge buzzed with renewed energy. Malik, true to his word, partnered with Jamal to establish a community art initiative, one that would preserve the mural and create opportunities for local youth to express their stories through art. Jamal spent mornings at the mural, restoring faded sections with fresh paint. Volunteers arrived daily, offering supplies and support. Children from the neighborhood, paint-smeared and smiling, added their own touches under Jamal's guidance. Faces once skeptical now waved with warmth and gratitude. Marla's Diner hosted a fundraiser to finance the initiative. Flyers adorned lampposts, and local businesses rallied behind the cause. Luis, beaming with pride, contributed woodwork for frames, while Mrs. Henderson organized neighborhood potlucks. This wasn't just Jamal's fight anymore. It belonged to everyone. Jamal visited Richard Caldwell's office, unsure what to expect. Surprisingly, Caldwell extended a hand. You challenge me to see beyond profits, he admitted. Maybe we can build something meaningful, together. Their handshake, firm and genuine, symbolized a bridge between past wounds and future collaboration. Months passed, and Oak Ridge transformed, but not through demolition. New housing developments integrated community art spaces thanks to the revised plans. The mural, now fully restored, stood proudly at the heart of it all, untouched and celebrated. Maya returned from her residency to witness the changes firsthand. You did it, she said, squeezing Jamal's hand. You turned protest into progress. Jamal's social media exploded with photos of the revitalized neighborhood. News outlets covered the mural's preservation, highlighting it as a model for community-driven development. Teenagers who once tagged walls with graffiti now painted vibrant murals under Jamal's mentorship. Walking down the newly paved streets, Jamal passed a school where a child pointed at the mural. Mom, look, that's us. The pride in the child's voice mirrored Jamal's own journey, from self-doubt to unshakable purpose. The once divided community now gathered regularly for art walks and cultural festivals, celebrating the heritage Jamal fought to protect. And with each event, the mural's colors seemed to glow brighter, reflecting the unity beneath its surface. Standing before the mural one quiet evening, Jamal traced the brushstrokes he knew by heart. Faces of ancestors, neighbors, and now, himself, smiled back. The fight had drained him, but the outcome filled him with a peace he hadn't known before. His phone buzzed with a new message. Upcoming feature in Art and Justice magazine. You ready for your close-up? Jamal chuckled, shaking his head. Recognition was never the goal, but the awareness it brought meant other neighborhoods might fight to preserve their stories too. Art endures, he thought, not just on walls, but in hearts. The mural wasn't merely paint. It was resilience. A testament to voices raised, to standing firm when it mattered most. Breathing in the cool evening air, Jamal closed his eyes. He'd started with doubt, faced resistance, and emerged changed, not just as an artist, but as a leader. Sometimes, he mused, fighting for something bigger than yourself is what helps you find yourself. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting golden hues across the mural, Jamal stepped back. A group of children danced nearby, their laughter echoing down the street. Lanterns strung overhead flickered to life, illuminating the faces on the wall. Faces that told a story of struggle, love, and triumph. Maya joined him, handing over a cup of coffee. Look at them, she murmured, nodding at the kids. They'll grow up knowing their roots. Jamal smiled. That's the whole point. Suddenly, a little girl tugged at his sleeve. "Mr. Jamal," she asked shyly, "can I be in your next painting?" He knelt, eyes warm. "Of course. You're part of this story, too." As laughter and music filled the air, Jamal gazed at the mural one last time. Its colors danced in the twilight, alive with the heartbeat of Oak Ridge. A camera flash captured the moment, an image that would grace headlines, but more importantly, live on in the memories of those who called this place home. Sometimes, saving a wall saves a community. And sometimes, it saves you too. If this story moved you, don't let it end here. Share it. Spread the word about the power of art, community, and standing up for what matters. Like, comment, and subscribe for more stories of resilience and transformation. Together, we can ensure that voices like Jamal's and communities like Oak Ridge are never silenced. What legacy will you fight for?